Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your favorite English bulletin, the news. You're broadcasting live from TVT studios here in Lumi. Here are the headlines. The Togolese Senate has approved the extension of the state of security emergency in the Savannah region. The measure was adopted this Wednesday during the Chamber's second plenary sitting of the extraordinary session of the year 2026. March 4 marks the International Day Against Sexual Exploitation, a reminder of the seriousness of this global menace and the urgent need to protect vulnerable populations. In today's edition, we will bring you more details on how Togo's legal framework provides strict penalties for the perpetrators of sexual exploitations. Stay with us. And yes, it is always a pleasure to have you join us. 3 new ambassadors have officially begun their diplomatic missions here in Togo. The envoys of Denmark, Liberia, and Palestine presented their letters of credence to the President of the Republic, Jean-Lucien Savy de Tove, at the Presidential Palace here in Lomé. This marks an official step to the start of their mandate and opens a new chapter of cooperation between their countries and Togo. Our Chugan reports.
At the Presidential Palace in Lomé, the newly appointed ambassadors of Denmark, Liberia, and Palestine to Togo formally presented their credentials. In a series of audiences, the diplomats handed their letters of credence to the President of the Republic, Jean-Lucien Savy de Tove, officially marking the start of their diplomatic missions in Togo. The Danish ambassador outlined the priorities of his mission, highlighting areas of cooperation between Copenhagen and Lomé, particularly in development, strategic partnerships, and bilateral collaboration.
It's a big honor for me to have the opportunity to hand over my letters of credence on behalf of the Danish King to His Excellency the President of Togo. Denmark and Togo, we have one thing in common, that is that we are both close to the ocean, to the sea. Denmark is a big shipping and seafaring nation. We also have big interests and investments here in Togo. So I hope to expand this collaboration in the coming years. I also hope that we can work more closely on agriculture and farming, on food production.
For her part, the Liberian ambassador praised the long-standing friendship between the peoples of Liberia and Togo. She reaffirmed her commitment to further strengthening the ties of cooperation and solidarity between the two countries.
My job now as ambassador at Greater Togo is to continue to promote the best interests of Liberia and Togo for trade, economic prosperity, and that can benefit our people. So I look forward to working with the Togolese government to promote our interests in trade, economic, and security, which is very important for the region.
Discussions with the Palestinian ambassador focused mainly on economic development, trade exchanges, and the promotion of partnerships between Palestinian and Togolese business communities.
We discussed many important issues, and I will be working hard on strengthening the relations between the Republic of Togo and the State of Palestine. We also discussed important matters regarding, I will be working hard on bringing some businessmen from Palestine. Also, we are going to hopefully in the near future open a permanent embassy here.
The ceremony of presenting credentials formally establishes the diplomatic mandate of the three envoys. Danish, Liberian, and Palestinian diplomatic missions are expected to strengthen their presence in Lomé in the near future.
And effectively, diplomatic outreach continues to expand as the president of the Council for Assazamna Nyasingbe received the Belarusian Minister of Foreign Affairs in Lomé. Their discussions focused on strengthening bilateral relations and exploring new avenues of cooperation between the two nations. Gabriel Ayena comes through with this report.
Cooperation between Togo and Belarus is entering a new phase. During an audience with the President of the Council for Assazamna Nyasingbe, the Belarusian Minister of Foreign Affairs praised the quality of relations between the two countries and highlighted Togo's strategic position on the African continent. Discussions also addressed the international situation and the importance of peaceful solutions to global conflicts, an area in which Lomé continues to strengthen its diplomatic credibility. According to the Belarusian minister, Togo has emerged as a reliable partner committed to dialogue and collective solutions to global crises. On the bilateral front, talks were described as highly productive. Sector-specific meetings explored concrete areas of cooperation, particularly in technology and industry. Belarus is also considering using Togo's port, road and logistics infrastructure to distribute its products and technologies to other African markets, an acknowledgement of Togo's growing role as a logistics hub and gateway to the continent. Beyond economic projects, the discussions highlighted the country's increasing international stature. Under the leadership of Assazamna Nyasingbe, Togo continues to consolidate its image as a stable and reliable partner, actively engaged in regional mediation, peace initiatives, and diversified partnerships.
Moving on to other stories, the Togolese Senate has given the green light to the extension of the state of security emergency in the Savannah region. The measure was adopted during the second plenary sitting of the extraordinary session of 2026 as authorities seek to reinforce security efforts in the country's northern region. However, Ntugan has more details in the following report.
Séance est ouverte.
The Senate has opened an extraordinary plenary session devoted to the examination of two draft laws. The first concerns the extension of the state of security emergency in the Savannah region, while the second relates to amendments to the harmonized legal and fiscal framework governing the West African gas pipeline project in Togo. Regarding the extension of the state of emergency, all parliamentary groups expressed their support for the measure and the bill was adopted unanimously. The decision authorizes the government to extend the security emergency in the Savannah region for 12 additional months starting from March 13, 2026. The Minister of Territorial Administration welcomed the move, describing it as a necessary tool to address security challenges in the northern part of the country. Senators also unanimously adopted the bill revising the legal and fiscal regime governing the West African gas pipeline project. The amendment updates legislation initially adopted on December 15, 2004, adapting it to the project's current requirements. The Senate President hailed the adoption of the two important laws, praising the sense of responsibility and constructive dialogue that marked the session. The bills will now be forwarded to the National Assembly for final approval in accordance with the legislative process.
And after hosting the 9th Pan-African Congress, Togo is taking another step in promoting African identity. The country is preparing to organize an international conference in Lomé aimed at determining a date for the celebration of African New Year. This initiative intends to celebrate the shared heritage and cultural unity of the continent. Gabriel Ayena has more.
Togo is preparing to host an international conference dedicated to establishing a date for the African New Year, a symbolic event aimed at celebrating the shared heritage of African people. The issue will be examined during a major gathering of experts and representatives from African countries. To oversee the initiative, a scientific committee was set up on March 4. It brings together university scholars and experts from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Among the expected outcomes of the conference are conclusions and recommendations that will be submitted to the African Union Commission for validation. The scientific committee is now tasked with proposing a concrete date for organizing the conference sometime in 2026.
A police operation in the Ogun Prefecture has led to the arrest of a number of individuals suspected of illegal possession and trafficking of weapons, ammunition, and drugs. Authorities say the operation is part of ongoing efforts by the National Police to dismantle criminal networks and strengthen security across the country. Quickly.
The Togolese National Police have arrested 3 individuals suspected of illegal possession of trafficking of weapons, ammunition, drugs, and contaminated products. The arrest took place on February 26, 2026 between 4 and 4:30 a.m. in Agunyogo, Agu Prefecture. The suspects were identified as K. Komi, 49, A. Komi, 27, and K. Koku, 25. K. Komi, a Mason who frequently traveled to neighboring Ghana and believed to be the alleged mastermind of the operation, was arrested while attempting to flee through the back of his residence during a police intervention. A search of the premises led to the seizure of several items, including a German-made Red Cobra revolver, an English-made Puma SP-15 automatic pistol, 2 locally manufactured hunting rifles, 8 rounds of ammunition, 126 pellets, cannabis in various forms, slot machines, and other suspicious objects such as machetes and crowbars. Initial investigation suggested that the suspect obtained most of their supplies from Ghana. Further inquiries are underway to uncover the full network behind the trafficking operation. Another suspect, A. Akiza, a 60-year-old mechanic working for the airport company Sinoka, admitted during questioning that he has entrusted the revolver and pistol to K. Komi for safekeeping after claiming to have found them in the bush 4 years earlier. The National Police reaffirmed their determination to combat all forms of crime and trafficking in order to ensure the security of the country and its citizens.
Sans relâche contre toutes les formes de délinquance et de trafic, afin de garantir la sécurité et la protection du pays et de ses habitants.
Moving on to other stories, sexual exploitation remains a global scourge and a serious concern here in Togo. As the world marks the International Day Against Sexual Exploitation, authorities highlight the country's strict legal measures designed to punish offenders and better protect vulnerable populations. However, Nuchugan enlightens us.
Through tears and a trembling voice, Dela, not her real name, recounts the ordeal that changed her life. In 2020, she was promised a job abroad by an acquaintance who even arranged her passport and travel documents. Despite her family's hesitation, she accepted, hoping to build a better future, a greener pasture. Instead, she found herself trapped in a nightmare. Upon arrival, her passport was confiscated and she became a victim of sexual exploitation. Years later, the trauma remains. The story reflects the harsh reality faced by thousands of victims worldwide. In Togo, the law provides strict penalties against perpetrators and accomplices of sexual exploitation. prosecutors stress that zero tolerance is essential. Under Article 318 of the Penal Code, offenders face 10 to 20 years of imprisonment and fines ranging from 10 to 20 million CFA francs. The penalties increase from 20 to 30 years and fines of 20 to 15 million CFA francs when the victim is particularly vulnerable due to age, pregnancy, illness, or disability. Crimes related to pornography carry 5 to 10 years of imprisonment and fines between 5 and 20 million CFA francs. The same penalties apply to sexual exploitation linked to sex tourism, with sentences rising to 20 years if violence is involved. Experts note that women and children are the most frequent victims, although men can also be affected. Beyond awareness campaigns and commemorative days, the fight against sexual exploitation requires collective action, solidarity, and vigilance, so that survivors like Dela can rebuild their lives with dignity and protection.
Togo is accelerating the modernization of its public services as the Togolese Post Office and the Ministry in charge of Commerce and Quality Control have signed a partnership agreement. This collaboration is to ensure the efficient delivery of digitized administrative documents in order to bring public services closer to the citizens and simplify procedures for businesses and users. Kwesi Glay tells us more.
Economic operators across Togo from Lomé to Senkase can now breathe a sigh of relief. A new partnership between the Togolese Post Office and the Ministry of Commerce aims to ensure the rapid and secure delivery of digitized administrative documents. Through this initiative, the postal network will facilitate the distribution of documents linked to 12 services within the commerce and craft sector. Officials say the system will spare citizens from having to travel to administrative offices. Instead, the postal service will deliver requested documents directly to beneficiaries. Thanks to its nationwide network, the Togolese Post aims to ensure effective coverage in both urban and rural areas. Authorities also mentioned that documents can be delivered within 24 hours in Lomé and 48 hours in other regions. Tracking tools will also allow users to monitor their documents in real time. The agreement is expected to simplify administrative procedures, reduce waiting times, and limit unnecessary travel, while contributing to the modernization of public services and the promotion of trades.
And that brings us to the end of today's edition. Thanks to my wonderful team and to you, cherished viewers, for watching. Stay tuned to our channel for more updates, and remember to know who you really are no matter the situation. Have a wonderful evening. See you next time. Goodbye.